whether you want to combine the incoming transfers and the true freshmen, however you want to do it, who do you see making an impact? And of course, the true freshmen are in a much different place and category. It's difficult for them to make a splash, but there are those guys that you expect will make an impact this fall.
I think there's enough depth right now on both sides of the ball that with regard to true freshmen in particular, I think it would be, frankly, a surprise if there were any true freshmen that made a seismic impact on Oklahoma football in 2024. And OU recruited really well this past recruiting cycle, right? They signed the number 7 class in the country, headlined by a 5-star, top 5 player nationally in defensive tackle David Stone. For me, it's probably it starts with 3 names. David Stone and Jaden Jackson, whom I mentioned in the defensive tackle position, they did a lot of good things in spring. And defensive tackle is one of those spots, Mark, where especially in the SEC, you're going to need more than 2 guys. Your starters are Dejon Terry and Dominic Williams. You're going to have to dig into the bench. And you're going to have guys in that group that can give you key snaps in crucial situations and make sure that your horses aren't dog tired by the end of 60 minutes of SEC football. So David Stone and Jaden Jackson immediately jump to mind. I mentioned Eli Bowen as well. To me, those 3 guys are dudes that I can see making an immediate impact on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, freshman running back Taylor Tatum just moved in over the weekend. He did not enroll early, got here in June, as used to be the norm, right? Nowadays, the norm is guys get there in January and go through spring ball. But Taylor Tatum was the number 1 running back in the country in the 2024 class. Big pickup for DeMarco Murray. Again, I don't really sense right now that there's going to be a true freshman on the offensive side of the ball that makes a huge productive dent for Oklahoma. But if you put a gun to my head and say, okay, one of these guys is really going to pop off in fall camp, name him, I would say Taylor Tatum has the potential to rise up the Oklahoma depth chart at running back in a hurry and work into a rotational role right off the bat because he is special.
You know as well as anyone that on the fringe of the recruiting focus, most college football fans, they get lured in by the rankings, of course, who's the number 1 player at the position, all of that. So David Stone, known by college football fans by and large. You mentioned Jaden Jackson. It's typically that second guy at a position for a particular team. He could be the 4th rated guy in the country at that position, but if the other guy's number 1, nobody talks much about him. But it sounds like you're really high on Jaden Jackson, and he could be just 1A to David Stone's, number 1 spot in future years for OU.
Absolutely. The future at defensive tackle is very bright for the Sooners. And look, in the transfer portal era, you have to always add the asterisk, the caveat that you got to retain the talent, right? But it doesn't seem like the Sooners should have any issue retaining the talent as far as David Stone and Jaden Jackson are concerned. Both of those guys have really embraced everything that's been thrown at them in 5 months now at the University of Oklahoma and have both really made waves to the point where I do expect that you'll see a lot of both of them this fall. Again, I wouldn't say either starts, at least not initially, but I do think you'll see a lot of them. And one of my radio colleagues is a fellow, and this will be a name you know, Mark, a fellow named Teddy Lehman, who won the Butt Kiss Award back in his day and had a nice long NFL career after that as a linebacker. So Teddy knows ball, and he's also around the program constantly, watching practices, just getting a feel for everything that's going on behind closed doors. And I'll put it this way. When a guy like that tells you Jaden Jackson might be the best defensive tackle on the roster at Oklahoma, and this is obviously pre-Dominic Williams, but when a guy like that says, yeah, Jaden Jackson might already be the best defensive tackle on the roster, that's an opinion that you're going to listen to.